Welcome to this Newsmakers Extra. I'm here this morning with Dr. Amy McGuire. She's the director of the Baylor College of Medicine Center for Medical Ethics and Health Policy. N.J. Pierce is one of the co-chairs of the Let Me Down Easy performance by Anna Devere Smith, which is really put together so it draws people out to have conversations about mortality and some of the issues that are related with it. Amy, on our show on Newsmakers, you talked a little bit about what the center does, but it seems to me it's very interesting in terms of the kinds of challenges that people face as we get older, both from the standpoint of maybe, in my case, a son who's dealing with an older parent, or just as our people around us get older. Talk about some of the things that you do on a regular basis as a center to try to solve some of the issues that are out there that deal with that.
Yeah, so we really work with healthcare providers, we work with patients, we work with families, and we try to teach them how to think in a disciplined fashion about some of the issues that they might face as they go through this process. And I think through this performance that we're going to see on Tuesday night, one of the critical things is to think about, sometimes we think about what does it mean for me to have a good death? We all say we want to die with dignity and integrity, and what does that look like? And what's really interesting is when you look at that, we know that people generally die the way they live. And so it raises the question of what does it mean for me to live a good life? And what does it mean to live my life with integrity and with dignity? And so we really spend a lot of time trying to get people to reflect on that question as well, so that we can all live life fully.
Do you find that people may say all of that, but when it comes down to it, a lot of people really don't want to talk about this? At least what I found in my own life experiences. You find that as well?
It's a very difficult conversation to have. And so, we try to teach people how you can start that conversation with your loved ones, because it's important not only to reflect on it yourself, but to make sure that the people around you know what you want, because the vast majority of people go into life-limiting illnesses, and at some point they'll lose their capacity to make their own medical decisions. And so they need to be able to rely on their family members and their loved ones to make decisions on their behalf.
You were saying earlier that sometimes when the families are having to make those kinds of decisions, it can become quite contentious because it's dealing with the life of the loved one that's at the center of all of this. So does your center also look into those kind of issues as well? And if so, how does the physician help in that regard? I mean, does the physician play a role in that at all?
Absolutely. So it's very difficult to let go of a loved one, and we all know that. So sometimes it's harder for family members to let that go than for the patient themselves to come to grips with the end of their own life. And so clinicians and healthcare providers play a critical role in trying to help patients and their family members come to grips with what the reality of the clinical situation is and what's possible and what's not possible.
NJ, you've got a personal stake in this because your passion for this as a result of your own life experience. What are you hoping you will see happen as a result of the Let Me Down Easy performance, and what it maybe will bring out of people as they come out to be a part of this?
It's a great question. So from my perspective, just the demystifying of some of the issues that come up, just a little bit of exposure to it, like the simple question, when is enough enough among a family, and knowing a little bit about what your loved one would want for themselves if they can no longer speak for themselves. Because I think we found great peace when maybe one loved one was still very conscious and aware in some of the things that are important to me, which is being able to interact with my loved ones, being able to convey my wishes, isn't always present. So in another case, we as a family had to pull together and absolutely think it through and try and put ourselves in our father's role as he thought through without being able to convey his wishes.
And what I find very unique about this whole thing is that we have Anna Devere Smith here for her performance, then panel discussion, so people can actually get some insights, not just coming out and seeing a performance, but it's actually something you hope that people will go away from having learned some valuable information about what they can do.
Exactly. So we are hoping it springs forward. I mean, we're thrilled that the center has brought all these people together to begin highlighting the good work of Amy's center and the other centers like hers and the groups of physicians and caregivers out there that are already doing this work. I didn't know those resources were available. And it's interesting because my dad's a physician, and so it created quite an interesting pathway for us to go down, and it required a lot of research on my part just to figure out how to help my dad the best.
Well, this whole concept seems to me like it's very, very helpful. As I mentioned on the program, my father's 98 years old, and my sisters and I have had to go through this process of understanding. Now, I've got the best sisters in the world, so there's no contentious anything. And so it's been very good for me, even though the decisions have been difficult. The people that I'm making the decisions with it's a good process for us. This part, what we can learn from this performance and maybe the panel discussion, will initiate, hopefully for you, people being able to kind of take the steps necessary so they'll be able to make the decisions, the right decisions when they need to.
Absolutely, and I think, you know, Anna Deavere Smith does a fantastic job. She's invented this sort of verbatim theater where she interviews real life people and then she takes on their persona and their character through her play. And it's sort of a series of individuals, so you kind of get into the story of the person who she's portraying. And I think one of the really fabulous things about this play is it shows the resiliency of the human spirit in the face of illness. So it's not just about, you know, doom and gloom about people getting sick and people dying. It's about how we rise up as a community, as an individual, as humans, in the face of really challenging circumstances.
Well, I thank you for coming in. I hope that we get a lot of people there, because obviously we're all, you know, I'm not getting any younger. And we're going to get there at some point in time. How we deal with it is going to make a big difference. The performance is called Let Me Down Easy, and it's going to be on Tuesday night at the Wortham Center. And of course, you can certainly go to my website, click2houston.com, Newsmakers, and get all the information about this event. Again, ladies, thank you so much for what you do. Thank you as well.